Oh, we definitely get ahoy hoy. I was looking at the number jump up. We definitely are getting people from Idle. I want to lead off with an apology. We do not have an Idle Champions code this week. I've checked our email just before the stream to double check. It is not there. So if you're coming from Idle Champions, I apologize.
We love you. Thank
Um,
you. I'm sorry.
but yes, we very much appreciate you guys showing up. It is a bonus action this week. On like my whole thing got thrown off when I saw the number jump up at the last second. Uh, but ahoy hoy. Welcome to Players in Book, a live stream D&D game where I get to DM for some of the best players in the world. This is a bonus action, which is sort of an in-between non-campaign episode where we talk about the game, talk about D&D in general, role-playing and tabletop in general, and just answer questions from the audience about the game itself. I'm gonna do the credits really quickly, just in case any of that stuff comes up. We can just throw we can and we wanted to throw something on screen or there's music playing. Cartography by Shay and Peku. Cartography by Shay and Peku Sci-Fi. Maps by Luke Stratton. Maps by Eightfold Paper. Music by Tabletop Audio. Character tokens by Greek 46. Custom tokens by Shay and Peku Tokens. Overlay art by Packstream. Custom world back by Freckle Sketches. Logo and character art by Luke McCay. Special thank you to our moderators, Billith and Strike Redkite. And what do you got going on in your life? Introduce yourself.
And it's me. I'm Lauren Urban. She, her. You can find all the stuff I'm doing at my website or my Blue Sky, which are both the same thing, kinda. Lauren-urban.com. If you go to Blue Sky, that's my username because sometimes those things work out. And really, the only other major thing I got going on when my power doesn't go out, I'm looking at you, random wildlife that decided to. That's what we were told. Random wildlife was the reason that I didn't have power this morning, and I couldn't do what I normally do on Sundays, which is Orkira plays Baldur's Gate 3, which is the stream I usually do in the morning on the Dungeon Scrawlers channel, but didn't happen because of a pigeon. I'm blaming it on the pigeons. And then also on Fridays on the on the Crit Hit Chronicles channel, you can find me playing a Dragonborn Ranger slash Rogue who's from the Feywild, who would have actually loved what happened last time on this show, unlike my character that I usually play on this stream, Fairlos, who was real happy at the end of the episode when they left. So, hi, that's me. And yes, I did see in the chat. So, we normally do these at the end of the month. And the reason we are doing it before the end of the month is because, well, today is our affiliate anniversary. So, happy affiliate anniversary, which is a Twitch thing. Next week is our stream anniversary. And what is our stream anniversary?
A year since we started streaming, I guess.
Yeah, which I think is a bigger deal. I mean,
I'm my brain is like, wait, how did we get an affiliate anniversary before I don't know.
because the
I'm sorry.
affiliate anniversary, because you have to stream for a certain amount of time
Yeah.
before you get affiliate, and so yeah, it doesn't line up. It's kind of funny that it lined up so close, but yeah, and we had been I seem to remember that Goblin had been doing a couple of streams on this channel before we started doing the actual episode, so we were pretty close to getting affiliate.
That's yeah,
She was playing
yeah.
like
That
Baldur's
makes
Gate 3
sense.
or something. She was doing something D&D, so we were close.
Yeah.
So yes, that is why while it is our affiliate anniversary, enjoy the little party hats in chat. Thank you very much. We unfortunately do not have a code this week because Idle Champions, as awesome as they are, did not send us an email. So we love them, but hey, did not send us an email. Tell Sean we love him, but we need an email. And so come back
Might have been on
next
our
week.
end. To be fair, it might have been on our
It
end.
could have been
Oh well.
on the email's end. It could have been
Yeah.
on there. The
Yeah.
pigeon might have gone after the email. Maybe the
Hey,
same
you
pigeon.
keep you keep no that pigeon no that pigeon's gone. If that pigeon knocked your power out,
I don't
that
know. I'm
pigeon's
from
gone.
New York, and those pigeons, I've seen them survive worse. Yeah. So
That
who
is an
knows?
ex pigeon.
It's probably. I mean, maybe the same pigeon that got that
Mm.
killed the power at the same
It was weighed
time.
down by the weight of the email that it stole, and
Yeah.
it just crashed right into the
Yep.
transformer.
I'm just gonna blame it on pigeons. So yeah, that is what is going on. It is our affiliate anniversary next week. Hopefully the whole crew will be here and we will continue our adventures on our actual stream
And
anniversary.
I'll say, assuming everything goes well, we have a couple of big announcements next week, I think.
It's
Gonna,
do not jinx it, but yes.
yeah.
Yeah, Garwars is when I where I live, squirrels will eat through internet cables. I know squirrels can be that way, and I know a lot of places have that problem. Here, those of you who follow me on the social media probably also have seen that my lovely partner Luke, who does all of the art, which right now on the stream, the only thing that you can really see is the logo right there, which is awesome. My lovely partner Luke has made friends with all of the squirrels in probably a 10-mile radius, and they do not need to eat wires. They have more almonds and peanuts than they know what to do with. I'm surprised that there are not peanut and almond trees springing up all over the Pacific Northwest. So otherwise, yes, we would have that problem.
Been an absolute pleasure to have you, Buzz Lightyear, just for today and for every time you've been in our streams before now.
Thank you. Yes. And thank you, Fool. I will let Luke know. He hasn't been able to do the squirrel cam in a little while because of extenuating circumstances, but we're hoping soon again. Also because of pigeons.
Oh, there is one thing. I just realized it because I didn't say anything about what I'm up to.
Mm.
My start playing game,
Ooh.
which I'm not sure what I think it's Command Sim game. It's like exclamation point sim game or something like that.
Someone
But
in
I
chat will get
have
it.
a start playing game with an open slot now for Wednesdays. So
Hey.
if you're interested in that, man, give it a try.
There we go.
Um,
Thank you for grabbing that. Oh God,
assuming that's still, yeah, assuming that actually works, right?
it did. You can
It's,
play a
it's
game set in the world. Yeah, it works. So
pretty good.
yes. So what's the game about? Sell your game.
So it's in the same setting. It's in Heimel, but it is called Sky High City, and it involves a set of adventurers who are aboard a city that has been stolen from the dwarves, took off and flew away. Um, Currently, I think they're going through a little bit of a intrigue, Day of the Jackal style assassination plot,
Oh.
which is I'm having a little bit of fun with, and I think the players might actually be having a little bit of fun with. So, yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on. But yeah, I like to keep. Well, I've been thinking about doing other start playing games too, like doing maybe like Waterdeep Dragon Heist like 5 times a week or something. But yeah, I like to keep my games in my own setting, and because it helps me build it out. So like if you guys are in this streaming game are talking about something going on, elsewhere in the world, I know what's going on elsewhere in the world. I have a better concept of it. And when people bring in characters to like make a character in my world, I'm starting from zero quite often. Like when you brought in this is great. We can segue into this unless you have something else. Um
No, the only thing I'll say is thank you, Buzz Lightyear, for the gifted
yes,
subs. That's awesome. Thank you. That's very nice.
you came into my game, the streaming game, with an idea for furloughs, right? And I think you know this, when we first started, I didn't really have anything solid for I mean, I had the vaguest sense of like, oh, you want to be a tabaxi. Okay, well, they generally come from this region, although they could be from anywhere in the world. I always say that. It's like homeland sort of stuff. Like you come from this general area, but at this point in the world, they've traveled everywhere, so you could be from anywhere. Um, and so I'm like, okay, let's start thinking about that. And then I started working on it. I'm like, well, okay, they're going to be living in a forest outside of the southern part of Hivern, the Hivern Union. And then we worked for that, and we're like, oh, I was like, I'm going to move that village a little closer to the coast because you need to be close to the ocean for your backstory.
For
Uh,
reasons. For
yeah,
reasons.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then just go from there. Like that's how I do with, or that's how character creation tends to work out for me. Is just I will do that. I'll be like, all right, you give me your ideas, and I'm gonna see how to both fit them into the world and then change the world to fit into what you want it to be as best as possible without obviously major alteration. Like if someone was like, I want to be I want to be a tech bro, an actual tech bro from the real world transported in. I'm like, I can give you like cryogenically frozen tech bro from the Kasari Empire. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Um, that kind of stuff is like modify it just a little bit, but generally I try to make what people want to do work with the world that we're in. And yeah, so if you want to play in my big long advertisement that goes on a rant, if you want to play in my Wednesday game, there's a slot open. We can talk about it.
There you go.
Um, but let's talk about this game.
This game.
We had a big moment at the beginning of the game, and
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole episode, there was
was
a
full of
lot.
big moments.
There was a
Yeah,
lot.
it was just big moment after big moment, and then we had that lull. We'll talk about this when we get to it, maybe. But I'm was questioning on the rewatch having you guys on stream for about 30 minutes decide what magic item you want. I was like, I probably should have done that off stream. I probably should have been like, let's figure it out later, or done it beforehand.
Maybe, but we had ridiculous fun picking
You'd had a
stuff.
lot of fun. That
We
is true.
did,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then and part of that is because we just have a lot of fun bullshitting with each other. And part of that is because you have created this weird conundrum with the way the ship works as a person, where just going through the options, it's not just, hey, we're going to pick a magic item for the ship. It's the whole idea of, well, wait, how does it work if we pick this magic item now that we couldn't
Mm,
necessarily have picked before because it wouldn't have worked with an object, but now it'll work because the ship could be a person. And I agree that I think not always, the
yeah,
shopping episode, as it were. A lot of the time you want to be a little cautious about that. Some people love watching shopping episodes. I don't,
it's true. Yeah.
and as players, it's often you got to be on the ball with at being. Uh, you have to do the streamer thing of talking out loud about your thought process because you can't just be like,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, you have to really talk through, and if you really are in that moment of I don't know what, you just kind of have to move on. But yeah, that
Yeah.
moment of this is a wild idea, let's go for it. I thought was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed, or at least you enjoyed that part. But yeah, I was watching. I was like, did I actually was kind of thing I was brought up with you guys and be like, was that a good idea? I don't know. But I think you're right in that sense of like, it's definitely not every episode or even like it's something you want to keep rare. But every
Yeah.
once in a while, I think you're right. I think it is fun. Um, yeah. So, but at the very beginning of that episode, we had God show up, like
Hmm.
almost maybe not quite, but almost capital G God for this setting
Yeah.
show up and then get like kind of super confused.
Probably
Which was
major confused.
yeah,
Yeah.
which was an interesting thing that I had not. I want to be clear, I hadn't planned. Like I just this was I do this sometimes where I have a vague idea where things are going. I had a vague idea of what I was going to be doing with that scene. But sometimes with because you guys are such great players, to be clear, I just sort of present you with a circumstance and then trust that I can improv off of you in a way that is going to be interesting. So when I presented Jen with that, with this guy showing up, she immediately clocked one of like, didn't you say you weren't going to talk to me again until you had something important? And I was like, well, shit, I did say that. All right. And then I just had to roll with it from there. But then she was doing the thing where she was like, "Aren't you like?" It's like you're completely wrong, and like, and I think maybe you might be making errors. And I was like, "Good, this is good." He is encountering errors. And I had the free will thing. It was free will is a rounding error. Is the line that was in my head before that encounter started, but it's the only thing that I really had in my head as when that started. So I was like, bring it around to free will. Free will is the problem. Free will is causing too much randomness. It's causing him to not understand what's happening anymore.
Hmm.
And then I got to play with it. We had a question
I
about this in the chat too.
Yeah, I saw Fool's question. Is that the one that you're looking at?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Foolish asks, the dream with Riv and Synthara took an interesting turn, which is an understatement. How did Lauren manage to stay so quiet? I was screaming in laughter. I mean, the easy answer is the mute button. The mute
You
button is
did
our
mute a
friend.
couple times. Yeah.
Oh, I muted a lot. So I'm very fortunate where I have a very nice microphone. I actually don't usually mute myself when I'm in an active scene because I want to be able to jump in when I can. But if I'm not active in a scene, I do tend to mute myself, especially if it's a longer scene. And that one specifically, I muted. And so yeah, we were all pretty much on mute that whole time. Um, the other reason I'd muted myself is because there was a lot of, let's say, backstage chat going on. Um, the backstage Zoom chat was zooming as we were all reacting to the stuff going on there. So what I couldn't say out loud, a lot of that was going on there. And so yes, that's the mute button is always a friend. Um, especially especially for Goblin who can get very high pitched.
That's true. So high pitched that almost every episode there's a moment where Goblin tries to say something, but Zoom's automatic noise canceling detects it as not voice.
Yep. Yep. Noise gates it. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But yeah, I think that conversation. So we were talking a little bit about this literally just before we went live about how what Fairlos's reaction to it, because Riv did tell everybody about that whole dream. And at first I was like, well, but Riv probably wouldn't have told everything, right? And then the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, well, okay, some of the encounters that she's had, she probably, I know she skirted around a couple of things, or she would have glossed over, or just for the sake of brevity would have, you know, said the basics. But in this case, she just had a philosophical argument with God. She told us everything. If she could have like recorded it and played it back to us, she would have, you know, if she had the perfect memory, she would have just told us absolutely everything that happened. So I think it, and Jen can actually back this up the next time that she's on stream. And maybe I'm wrong, but my gut says that because that was 100% a philosophical question and the nature of reality and free will, I think she probably laid everything out. So I think Fairlos knows what that conversation was about, at the very least.
I'd like to predict.
Mm.
So you're gonna say what Furlos's response is. I would from my experience of watching Furlos respond to things, it's probably like, okay, but we've got stuff to do today.
There's a little bit of that. There's 100% is that. Um there's also because so I think it ends with that. And I think Fairless doesn't want to talk through any of the arguments. Like, I don't think Fairless is at all interested in giving her side of what she
Right.
thinks. Um, I think the only thing that she really would comment on is the whole free will is a mistake, which her reaction really is, well, the basically, if this is a simulation that has been going on and on and on and on and on and been played over and played over and played over, and the now things are changing and going wrong, uh, but we're trying to fix things, um, it wouldn't free will not be the mistake? Wouldn't it be the answer?
The problem is that yeah, free will. I I've said this before, I'll say it again. My personal attitude towards these sorts of philosophical concepts is probably much closer to Furlos's than any other character.
Oh yeah, like we never think that Sim the person is
Yeah.
at all anything like the any of the characters that you're playing
Yeah.
as the DM. But yeah,
But what I've come down to is the idea that this is a campaign where at least one or two, probably all of the players to some degree, really want to go down this road. So I need to care to that degree.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, the free will, that's the thing. So you bring up a philosophical argument here and it's like free will. I'm like, eh, it's yeah, if free will is one of those things where it's like, if I have free will, great. And if I don't have free will, then it doesn't matter. Uh,
It's the same argument of like, is this world real or is it not? What can I tell? And
it's
it and
it's the Westworld quote, which I used to say before something similar to that before Westworld came out. But it's like if you can't tell, does it really matter?
all that
And I
matters is my
yeah,
reaction to it.
yeah,
And if I think it's real, then all that matters is what I'm doing.
yeah.
And that's all that matters. And so it doesn't matter if it actually is real or if it's not real. What matters is what my reaction to it is. And if it's real, great, and if it's not, oh well. So why what it's the why worry as much as Lauren thinks that sounds easier than it actually is. I think Fairlow's actually is just like, why worry? And moves on. Which, once again, sometimes I play characters that I wish I could be. Mm.
I I even came around to like building an entire philosophical framework for the world because we talked about how philosophers in this world have to be registered. So then
Mm-hmm.
I have to think about what philosophy is in this world and what's the thing that because the reason why they need to be registered is because they want everyone's opinions to be somewhat similar so that belief doesn't fuck the world up. Because
Mm.
if there comes out of philosophy is like, I think that there's a giant orange is waiting to eat our planet just over the horizon. If enough people believe it, that could be bad.
Because there will be
So
a giant orange. That will
yeah,
be, yeah. It
yeah.
is what
So
happens when the Kuo-toa philosophy becomes
right,
worldwide.
yeah, yeah. It's a little weak. I'll say it's a little weaker than the Koto, but absolutely true. It's a very, very good parallel. Because Koto, oof, they're like you get like five of them together, and suddenly you have a god. It's like,
Uh-huh.
okay, calm down,
Yeah. Yeah. Kuo-toa are
believe less.
wild.
Um, but no, it's So I came up with an entire philosophical construct for the prevailing sort of beliefs of philosophers in the world, which is very similar to what we were dealing with the capital G Synthra god, which is that free. It's what I think I called it lucid fate theory, um, which is the idea that you have free will, or at some point someone had free will. And what has happened is that free will is fated. That is to say that like you were always you it's forget about the things you were going to do. The just the concept of free will itself. You were always going to have free will. That is the prophecy, the fate, the everything. Everything in the universe is saying that if you make a decision, yes, you made that decision, but also that decision was already made for you to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
It's both things being true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes, which is harkening back to my like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Because there really is no difference. Um, and yeah, so I was building up this very, very simple. This is even probably not even philosophy 101 stuff. This is like well before that. But yeah, just building up something simple that I could grasp onto to work with in the world if it ever comes around to it. I'm waiting to see if I actually do think this could be an interesting, like small minor plot point where like a couple of philosophers show up and like Rivulet doing her thing and being like, "Hey, listen, we know you're practicing philosophy unregistered. We can sense it in the fabric of the
Black
universe.
market philosophy.
We can sense it in the fabric of the universe. We need you to register at the very least."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Uh, the other nice thing about that kind of idea of philosophy of you are always fated to have free will is it goes hand in hand with the idea of okay, uh, what is the idea of fate? How much free will do you really have? Did you make this decision, or and some of this comes from I saw Foolish in the chat saying you were programmed to think that way. Um, is the programming when you're thinking about a computer program, or if you're thinking about a human being, as it were, or tabaxi, or whatever kind of species you're talking about? is that what our parents taught us? And is that what we learned from our friends and our family? And what's the difference?
Well, it's that one quote from the one thing I really like from not one thing. Brennan Lee Mulligan has a quote from one of the I think it's Unsleeping City games. And it was you think you make decisions, you think you decide if you're going to turn left or right, but you didn't build the roads.
Mm-hmm.
Um and to some degree that's true. Like you're going down the road and you do make your decision, right? Am I going left? Am I going right? That's your decision. But also you only have two in this theoretical case. You only have two options. Your car can't go off road, especially in a place like New York. You can't really go off road in the middle of the city. It's not that's not happening. Yeah, the framework was given to you, Theodra. That's a great example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I've always loved that quote, but at the same time, it's very much like yes, you have both free will and everything you do is fated at the exact same time. They're both true.
Mm-hmm.
That's and that's the only way I could come around to my own personal philosophical viewpoint of, eh.
And I think how people react to that kind of philosophy is the interesting part, right? Because some people, like we watched Caradig,
Mm.
like that, and it was more about the world might be not real part of things, or the
But
several
he was
layers
also
of
like,
reality.
when he was also like, the idea that you guys are more important in the philosophical framework because of the way the story is being told. And he's like, I don't feel like I'm more important than other people. I don't think that's fair.
Which is, I think that Fairlow's 100% agrees with. But like the whole idea of, all right, what is real, what is not real. His reaction to that is that weird existential crisis of not being able to deal with not understanding what reality is, whereas Verlos is more of the if I can't tell, does it matter? And that is the sum of your life experience, right? That is not just who she is and who he is, but like how she was raised and what her everything that has made her who she is has led to that moment, and where she can kind of accept that, all right, this might not be real, okay. And does it matter?
What
Probably
next?
not. And for him, everything that has led him to that moment has not prepared him for that philosophical argument and that philosophical reality. And so it's an interesting, it's very interesting. And the reason I love when the four characters get into those moments of philosophy, because Riv is the consummate, I don't want to use devil's advocate because it's the wrong way of saying it, but like Riv loves examining a problem from all angles. Riv loves making sure, because that's philosophy. That's what you do. It's like Riv loves the idea of, but what if? And
That's carrying over from Jennifer's habit of looking at everything like a puzzle. You want to
a
look
little
at it
bit.
on all sides.
A little bit, but also like I think Riv sees it more playfully. Like
Hmm.
I think what Jen does is she takes the, okay, this is a puzzle to solve, and turns it into, this is it's something to ponder, and what is important is pondering all of the pieces and not necessarily figuring it out. Which is why I don't want to use devil's advocate, because it's such a
Right.
bad term for it, but that's really what it is. It's examining all the pieces without bias. She just loves that part of the puzzle. And then you get whatever we want to call Katie's character. Then you get Tallulah, who kind of wants to have an answer, who kind of wants to come up, yeah, this is this, but this, but this, but this, but this. And then Essequa, who is, it kind of depends on what the question is, where Latia goes with it. Essequa, who is a little more grounded, I think. I think Essequa, depending on which question we're asking, is much more of a, how do we apply this?
It's
And
a pure intellect sort of examination, is what
exactly.
Esqua's approach is.
Exactly. And Fairlos is like, this is fun, but we got shit to do. So,
Yeah,
and is just amused by the whole thing. It's like, okay, now that we've had our intellectual fun, can we go save the world now? If it's real or not, I don't care. We're
yeah.
saving it.
Uh, I think there was a question up here. Let's just find this here. How much free will can Synthra predict before he gets confused?
Ooh.
Um, so here's the thing. The way the function of Synthra is that he's just simulating the universe, but the universe has been simulated, you know, over and over and over again. So like when he reruns a simulation, he's just like, and he'll insert things, and then people will be able to do certain like small changes here or there. Like he's using the simulation of the universe to this was when it's first introduced and was first described. He's using it sort of as a substitute for creativity.
Mm-hmm.
He'll insert other people into this universe, see how they react to things, and then use that in some degree and steal that creativity away and use it for something else that needs creative thought to fix. Like he can't just problem solving is a lot of problem solving involves some level of creativity. Like there is usually a right answer, but not really. There's dozens of right answers. And sometimes one of the other dozens of right answers might be a better solution, may lead to a better outcome. So he's simulating the user, so he knows what's going to happen. But to some degree, when he inserts these characters into the world, he's deliberately setting it up so he doesn't know what's going to happen next. So to a degree, but the broader strokes of the world, he does know what's supposed to happen next, and got into some degree probably guides things back onto the normal path after he's made his alterations, so that it's back to a predictable set. But what I have introduced, and part of this is like it's very meta, actually. I mean, well, obviously,
Our game? Nah.
yeah, but it's I think it's more meta than people realize because what it actually is me saying the story is the story is the story. That's not really the right way to put that. The story exists in some sort of simulated universe, like free will doesn't exist, blah 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 blah. That's one version of events. But obviously, in order for character choices to matter, there needs to be some level of unpredictability. If I tell you that your universe has no predictability, that's actually undercutting possible narrative stakes. So what I actually have to do is create a situation where even in universe, Synthra is now at a loss
Mm-hmm.
because of a variety. Like when I very first introduced him, he already had mentioned that many things were going wrong that shouldn't have gone wrong. Like I think and each one of them is tied to one of your characters in one way. There is the release of the Crescenza goddess of musical theater. She shouldn't have gotten out. So that's one thing. There's the pirate, the Draco Lich pirate captain sort of plot line that's happening. All of those events shouldn't have happened the way they happened. There's Brescia's what should have been a non-violent coup that has become quite violent and very adversarial. And then there is, I want to say, hold on, let's try to remember everybody's. There's because Synthra is for Rivulet. Oh, and then Rivulet's thing is actually just the sort of general the books and finding the books and all these other things, which is less of a error and more of like you need to do these things so that we can get to the level where you it's I love the idea and God, I'm really ranting here, but I love the idea that he's created this entire universe and inserted all these things. And there's a bunch of errors going on now, and those have got to be fixed. So it's much more important. But originally, it was just something like, I need to fix the water filters
Mm-hmm.
and I need to know like I need to have a little bit of I want to examine how to fix those water filters. So at some point, it's some small detail somewhere is going to be involved in like the water filter fix. And but because he's run the simulation and there are additional errors popping up and cropping up, one, he might not be able to fix the water filters anymore. But two, that was the whole purpose of running an entire universe. And now it doesn't work right.
Mm.
And that's the problem. Something very simple turning into something extremely troubling later on. It's a symptom, though, of his failure. I'm imagining, and this isn't necessarily spoilers, because again, if I don't say it in game, it doesn't really truly exist yet. This is just in my head. But I'm imagining Synthra as like he was like an AI on a colony ship, or
Mm.
it was really more it. It was an AI on a colony ship. The colony ship suffered massive damage, didn't make it to its destination. And instead now it's running like close to the heat death of the universe levels of in the future, drawing power off of some black hole somewhere, right? That's my conception of it currently, and it could very well change between now and game times. But so he is coming, he doesn't realize it. He is really coming to an ending of his life,
Hmm.
and things are starting to fail, like over and over and over and again fail. And he's got to deal with that going forward without realizing that that's what's happening. The universe is ending. He's ending. You know, robots aren't immortal. There's a thing with like an election that was held in Eastern Europe one time. It was like a European Union election, and somebody ended up getting exactly, was it 4,096 extra votes, more than the population of the district that they were in, because this happens with robots, and this you're gonna be like, how do those two things connect? Well, the computerized system got hit by a cosmic ray and flipped a bit.
Ah.
4,096 is exactly enough to flip a bit in the right way. That happens over time. And in fact, would probably cause the evolution of an artificial intelligence over millions or billions of years if it was trying to exist, because those little changes, if they provide for a better outcome, are going to stick around. And if they don't provide for a better outcome, they'll probably get fixed through redundancies. Um, and yeah, he's well at the near the end of the universe. That's at the end of a universe, because it's simulations on top of simulations. He's well at the end of a universe at this point. So he's dealing with a lot of that basically. Um,
That's interesting because I would have guessed something slightly different.
Really, so tell me what your thing is.
So,
I'm curious.
so, so part of this is we know, okay, it's the AI in the ship. Something's gone wrong, and it's whatever it is that's gone wrong, that the ship has not made it to its destination. What I had kind of in the back of my head, what I pictured was, okay, either it made it to its destination and found that the destination was no longer a viable place,
Mhm.
and that this computer doesn't have a backup plan. Or, maybe it does have a backup plan, but now, it's I can't find another place. I can't find another place. And so it's just going in circles. It's just going in circles. And so now it's just a perpetual, I got to keep these people alive. I got to, this is all I can do. This is all I can do. This is all I can do. And it's stuck in its own infinite loop, but it's smart enough to realize I can't stay like this forever. And that's what our simulation has started to do, is to figure out, even if it's subconscious to even the computer, um, that the simulation was supposed to be keep the colonists from their
Yeah.
mental degradation, but now, whether on purpose or and this is what Riv's conversation made me think, it might even be subconscious to the computer, um, that the computer itself knows this is an untenable situation. I can't just keep going in circles forever. I have to figure out something else to do. And so that's what's the changes that are
Right.
happening. Because why would you introduce change to a system that was working? If everything was running, even if it was, okay, I need to fix a thing, why would you look for creative solutions to a problem that you knew how to fix if you didn't know how to fix the problem? And if at least at some point
Oh, I
you're
like
like,
that.
I
Yeah.
don't know how to fix this problem. I'm
Or
literally going and
the way I used to use isn't going to work anymore. I need to come up with something new, and I don't know what that is going to be.
yep, and I can't keep going in circles. I've got to figure out something else to do. The people who could help me figure out what to do are in the simulation. I'm going to use them to figure out, and that
Mhm.
because there's that eventuality of we're supposed to leave the simulation and be, and then do something.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, well, if its directive was, all right, we're a colony ship going somewhere, and then we're going to leave the ship, its eventual goal is get you off the ship.
Hmm.
So if it's eventual, if it doesn't matter, I can't keep going in circles. I can't keep, this is an infinite loop. I need to get you off the ship. This is my prime directive. This is my reason d'etre. This is my reason. This is whatever it is. I have to get you off the ship in a place that you can survive. I don't know how to do that anymore. And so it's introducing the complexity and the problems, and that it wants to not know how the simulation is going to continue to go, because so far knowing how the story ends means that you just end up back at the beginning again. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where I was going with it, and that the free will is a rounding error is, well, I've been going around and around in circles, so I might as well see what free will gets me.
In I so when I was doing Sentra, and there were some things he didn't say but was thinking, for lack of a better way to put it.
Oh, for
And one
sure.
was like, there's a difference between free will and free will, was a thought. And that sounds ridiculous. But he's like, there's a difference between capital F free will and free will.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have someone made those decisions at some point without there being like, a simulation to make them. But then there's also like what's happening right now where I have no idea what's going to happen next in the simulation. That's capital F free will. That's original free will. And I
Yeah.
got bugs all over for some so all of a sudden I got flies on me. They don't like this free will conversation.
No.
Um
They're like,
yeah.
the only free will I want is fruit. Give me
Yeah,
food.
give me food, give me fruit. Um who is Will and what do they need freeing from? Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I do what you're saying is not necessarily incompatible with what I was saying. It's a little different in that it's like but like there could be good reasons why he needs to run a creative program to figure out how to fix the water filter. And
Mm-hmm.
that's because what he was doing before no longer will work because either his power is low or things have broken to the point where he doesn't have the access to the same level of resources he had before, and so on and so forth. Um, like almost all of his resources are definitely devoted right now to maintaining the simulation because I gave his overarching goal was keep the colonists safe.
Mm.
And they've long ago lost their bodies,
Yeah.
actually. At this point, he's just keeping their ingrams, I guess is probably the right word, safe inside of simulation. Some of them frozen in rocks and such, but still, they exist and they are able to be unfrozen at any point. I'm still thinking about like, because I feel like this campaign, after you guys get all your normal stuff done, has got to end in some sort of. It doesn't have to, but it's in my brain, the conception of it is there will become a point where your four characters awake
Mm-hmm.
in the real world and have to help with some sort of something that the robot can't do themselves. Um, in some way. We'll figure that out when the time comes. And I'm not sure if it's going to be robot bodies or if he's going to like bioprint new bodies for you. Like your original bodies back. Because what he did was he took all the bio materials from all of the bodies that of people who died and recycled it. So he still got that. He just needs to be able to print new ones for people and then put their brains into it. Um, I feel like that's not the ending, but I feel like that's the penultimate sort of like obviously there'll be some sort of denouement afterwards where like you guys go back into the simulation and have the rest of your lives.
I
But I
mean,
feel
or
like
we don't. We
or you don't
continue in
or you
this
fail.
new. I mean,
Also,
or
you
is
could
that a
fail.
is that a failure? Is that
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we continue in
Be
this,
like, let's end this. Let's just yeah.
or is that okay? Now we know the nature of this reality and this other reality, and so now we're
Mhm.
gonna get this ship to a place so that we can get the resources to get everybody. It depends on what we find when we get out of there.
I love talking about this stuff because it gives you so many ideas. Oh man. I was just thinking about the remember I mentioned that they were like orbiting a black hole at the end of the universe using like virtual particle Hawking radiation to like power these simulations that are gonna last for it's impossibly high numbers. And then I'm like, of course the ending is you guys sending the spaceship through the black hole somehow and to a new universe and starting over from scratch. That's a
I
nice
mean,
circular little way to do it.
I can't see Fairlos wanting to go back into the simulation,
Mm,
leaving the ship in the way that, however we're talking about it, leaving the
yeah,
ship basically in the same state that they found it. Like,
yeah,
wait, this is how we found it. This is what eventually caused the problems. We need to solve what the problem was. And the problem was, we're sitting at a black hole at the end of the universe. Okay, let's fix this. Or, we're going around in circles. Whatever that problem is, we can't just get back to status quo. We need to fix this problem. And so I
yeah,
can't see her deciding to go back to the inside, the other real world, because to her, both of them can be real. Why not?
yeah.
So yeah.
Or at least not until she's set the ship on a path where it can maybe actually fulfill its eventual function.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's going to take some time. You should probably go back into the simulation while we're waiting. But now we have an actual colonization target in this, say, new universe that we're going to start over from scratch.
And then the question becomes, if that is the case, A, does she, and this is a question, I guess, we'll find out when and if we get there, and every character has to decide for themselves. Does she go back? And two,
Mhm.
does she decide that she wants to remember what they did? Like,
Yeah.
is going back to the inside of the universe, knowing what's going on outside, is that too much information to bear? Is that too much? Like, because I could see her being, back in school, back at the, at the academy or
Right.
whatever, living that life, wondering if shit's still not going wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Like, she would have been captain of a different ship for a while. And now it's, yeah, she left it in a good state, but like without being able to yeah, I think she might have a hard time leaving. And it would be interesting to see like how that could be resolved.
Uh, Cassius 335 question: did any of the colonists have magic? Asking for plane shift. No, they don't have plane shift. They do have Dream of the Blue Veil, though. That might be.
Mm.
I
Which
think
is
that's the name of the
plane
spell.
shift. It's just
It's plane shift, but now you get to go to some other actual universe, including perhaps ours.
yeah.
Duh. But no, I thought that would be funny. No, no plane shifts, but I mean, it is Dream of the
Is
Blue Veil.
is
Dream is like
Dream of the Blue Veil, is that really a different universe? I thought Dream of the Blue Veil was a way for
you can
like
go from
druids
like
to be able to plane shift.
no, it's like
I haven't looked
well,
at it
it
in
is
forever.
it's kind of plane shifty, but like it's like you can go from Faerun to Eberron.
Yeah. Okay. It was spell another world on the material plane.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure I could interpret it a little bit more loosely, but
Well, no, I mean that's a way
is our world on the material plane? That's a great question. I think
yeah.
Earth does, if you look far enough back in D&D, I'm sure that they have some version of Earth in the celestial spheres or whatever.
I mean they do because you can find all the you can find all three of the core rule books at
Well,
Candlekeep.
also Vancian magic is literally like it's well after the end of the it's our world well after humanity's like apocalypsed like 5 times in a row, and spells are just advanced technology that escape from your mind when they're done
Yeah.
in its original conception. I don't know if it
Okay.
was like our world necessarily, but it was definitely like very far in an apocalypse in some sort of extremely advanced technological, like well beyond what you can imagine sort of deal. Before we
Okay, so
run,
this was okay. I've misremembered this because
mm,
this was when okay, it was the idea of like you don't need Spelljammer now to be able to get to another crystal sphere.
right, yeah.
You can do this
Although
because they're
DM has
all
full
on the
control.
material plane, but
Yeah.
now instead of getting in a spelljammer and going to Eberron, you can now just go,
It's
I'm
also a
gonna go to
spell
sleep.
though. It's also a spell where you have full control as DM because you can't cast it without a object from the plane you're trying to travel to. So without that, and the DM's the one who's going to provide that or not provide that,
Which
you
is
can't
technically
use it.
true for plane shift too. You need that
That's true.
tuning
You need a tune. Yeah, yeah, it's a little
that
bit
tuning
different. But
fork that yeah, or some I think technically you need a tuning fork.
right.
I
It's a
think
little looser though, because like you're like, oh, this fire elemental is walks in and it's got those little gold bracelets, and then after you kill it, they're like, so I'm gonna pick up those gold bracelets from that fire elemental, and now I'm going to plane shift us to the fire elemental plane.
because it
And
is
you're like,
attuned
yeah, yeah,
to. It is, which I
yeah,
think is fair. You know, you
yeah,
still have to go out and get a
yeah.
thing. But yeah, it is.
It's
I'm
a
sorry.
little
You're
looser than Dream of the Blue Veils, I was gonna
yeah,
say. No, no, I was gonna say before we run out of time, uh,
yes,
because we do want to keep it to about an hour, probably a little over, but not too much. There was other stuff that happened in the episode besides the conversation with Centra.
I mean, I
Uh,
guess.
and let's see, we did it was Centra, then it was basically some conversations with the other people on your ship. Was this the episode where, yeah, it was where they talked to the ship and talked about how Carradine is a deeply sad individual. And also he was having his conversation with Johnny Jubilee talking about his nephew and how he's worried about him. I
Yeah,
like that you immediately clocked it and was like, no, no, we're going to go, we'll help. I actually was taking that as an opportunity to possibly, now I'm not saying this is a necessarily thing, but it was one of those things where it's like, after you guys are done with your adventure, then I can move Carradine and Johnny Jubilee off of your ship and send them elsewhere in the world, and you guys can start to give the opportunity for a return to status quo, where it's
yeah,
just you guys on the ship again. But that's not necessary. That's just putting the opportunity out there. So I do love the idea that you're just like, no, we're definitely going to go if we after we're done with the saving the world stuff. We're definitely and you even said like maybe before that, depending on how it's going to go, we're going to go find out what happened to your or what's happened to your nephew and why you can't contact him anymore.
yeah. Because I
Um,
mean, it's possible we'll. Because at the moment, I don't think
right.
there's any leads. So I think
Yeah.
that was why she brought up the
Yeah.
if a lead comes up, we'll try to follow it because that's he's part of the crew now.
Part of the ship, part of the crew. And then yeah, obviously the ship having its moment where it's gonna be like, am I gonna have a nightmare tonight? I don't know. No, the day's already over, and I'm like, no, but it is the morning, and people do sleep into the morning, so I think the morning
Yeah.
after a nightmare should probably still be valid. Um, and then of course the the Fae shenanigans, which that's just an opportunity for me to have a little bit of fun. Honestly, I
Lauren
didn't.
loved that whole thing.
Yeah.
Fairless was clenched the whole time, but Lauren was so happy. It's
So the
just so
only
ridiculous.
I always talk about like I have every once in a while I just have like a line in my head, and there was one was like free will is a rounding error, but the other one was I knew I wanted the episode to have the button of do you want to make out a lot or something like that, and the other one being like we have so much shit to do today. It is going to be so busy and so dangerous. So yeah, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um
We're gonna be in the middle of a battle with a ton of
yeah.
other ships, so obviously, yes.
I think there's like a 50-50 odds that they get married again whilst they're in the middle of the battle, a la the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It's like
I
a
did
50-50 shot depending on how that goes.
I did like I can't remember if this is on camera or off, but we did talk afterwards about the idea that this is something that they do on a regular
Right. Yeah.
basis intentionally, um, for fun to keep the marriage a little spicy,
Sure.
and how as long as and that they have fun watching mortals react to it, and so they're not necessarily playing the prank like it's not a mean prank on mortals because they're not like nothing bad actually happened to anybody, and if anything we got a ton of shit out of it,
Yeah.
like
You're
as
still
far
owed like four more favors because we got one from the other
mm-hmm.
captain. You also got three more from the dude.
Yeah, like in the grand scheme of the way that Fae stuff can work, these are fairly kind Fae,
Hmm.
so the fact that their pranks ended up being if this is the way it has worked, like that essentially that they do this to keep things fun, and then wanted to see what everybody's reaction was, and how so in a weird way, Fairlow's probably gave them exactly what they wanted. In unintentionally, because they probably wanted like at
Yeah.
least one person to be like,
Haha. See that person over there? They really were uncomfortable. Isn't that great?
"Mm,
The,
probably.
yeah. The I've been trying to like, well, my conception of what the Feywild is in this, and I definitely wanted to bring strong Feywild because it's the ocean. I love the idea of like because it's what wilder play other than maybe like a jungle. What wilder place is there than the ocean?
Mm,
Honestly, people don't think of it that way necessarily all the time, but it is one of the wildest. When I would say wild, I'm talking about like nature based wildness. Is one of the wildest places on Earth. So if you're out on the ocean, you should have a strong connection to nature, and that's pretty reasonable to see that there'd be Feywildian, sort of like like the thinning of the barriers for Feywild. And then, of course, if that's the case, that means the Feywildian entities have been coming in and out all the time. So what does that look like? But also, it comes around to the idea of not being like, I'm not saying this is bad or good. Some DMs love to be a dick with
yeah.
high powered entities, especially Fae. Fae are a great example of it. They'll do it with genies, they'll do it with other stuff. They'll do it with the wish spell, which is wild to me. And there's a place for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think that's my place, but so do the Fae have free will? Well, that's a great question. Who knows? Ask them. the um the thing is, I saw the way you guys were reacting to your first encounter with the Fae. And part of it was this extreme paranoia, probably born out of previous experiences with previous DMs. So I needed to try and do my best. I want to do my best to make it clear that you guys were, for lack of a better way to put it, in a safe place with these Fae.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so they're not trying to take advantage of you in the sense that like they're going to try to twist your words or anything. They're just using you for entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. And in ways that don't necessarily leave you poor from the experience.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but my conception of these guys, there are still four. I don't know how it is in the actually. I really need to look in the actual Feywild. I know there's the Winter King and the Summer Queen and other stuff as
Yeah,
well.
it's changed a bunch. At the moment,
Yeah,
it's just the Seelie and the Unseelie courts,
so
and
it's just the two.
then
Yeah,
yeah, and I mean, then
I've
there are all these
yeah,
powerful fae, and
I've got it four axes in mine.
mm,
That's above and below and before and after.
mm.
You guys haven't run into the before and after yet.
Well, we haven't gone
That's
before, and we're still heading to after.
yeah. But I do love the above and below, especially since you guys are out on the ocean. That just seemed like a very neat fit for that.
Hmm.
And of course, above and below, like the king below and the queen above, she's always pirating, and he was at the you guys met him originally at the bottom of the ocean because of course you did. He's the king below. Um, and yeah, so that's the only those two things. I should say the before and after is something I'm playing with. It hasn't shown up in game, so there's no guarantee that's the way it'll go when time comes. But I have been playing around with it in my head.
Hmm.
But yeah, they're informed by y'all's sort of like extreme suspicion and paranoia. And a lot of what I want to do in this game is like, and it's happened in other cases too, where and you guys still do it. Like when you guys were talking about putting together the request for the submarine nature of your ship, like you were like, oh, we need to be very careful about. And I did tell you guys, like, be a little careful. Like if you guys are extremely reckless, then I'm sure that there would be some level of like, it wouldn't it be funny if we gave them exactly what they asked for?
Yeah,
Um, but like if you guys are even a little bit careful or put a little bit of effort towards trying not to get taken advantage of, I'm not gonna do that thing because you're telling me as players what
I
you want.
I think that might be a symptom of some of us having been playing D&D for a while,
Mm,
because we trust you, we don't trust the Fae. And so even with us having now run into these specific Fae and having the idea of like, okay, these specific Fae are not as absolutely, you know, um, even the quote unquote good ones are things are going to go wrong.
right.
Um, it can sometimes be a little hard so yeah, even though we might have gotten along with them, I think some of that might have been just us as players trying to unlearn what's that innate. And
Yeah.
then I will say, at least for me, I have the double problem of I am literally playing a fey creature in my Friday game. She's a dragonborn, but she got taken by the Fae when she was very young. She's grown up there. She is a Fae creature, and she is Fae in a lot of those tricksy ways. Not in any of the real bad ways because I don't want to be that player. So for reasons, she doesn't do a lot of the real bad stuff, but she's had that real bad stuff done to her. And Feywild is not a good place. Even the good, even Queen Titania, who is nice and kind and does want to, help save the world and things, you make promises to her and things can go still real wrong. So yeah, I think some of that might just be us as longtime players of D&D. We hear
Yeah.
Fae and it's like,
I think the important the trick, I don't like saying that, but like the trick I think might just be to what's the best way to put this? The Fae should be alien,
mm,
right? And an alien creature isn't deliberately screwing you over.
yeah,
There should be an like because so like if they tell you this is what you tell them this is what you want, and they don't give you what you actually want, even though you've told them what you want, and then you go, hey, that's not what I want, they should be like, oh, well, I didn't know. Let me fix that. Not,
I
haha,
misunderstood. Yeah.
isn't this entertaining that you didn't get what you want? Because that's a very human thing to do. That level of malice and deliberate misconstruing of what people are saying, that's not alien. That's just a dick. That's just a person.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like when it comes to just in general, because this is a homebrew world, what we all need to be better about is when we encounter stuff like that that does have, because even when it comes to, you mentioned Wish, you mentioned some of those other things that even in the writing of the D&D supplements have oh, this can go real wrong. We just need to be better about having that moment of, okay, how do you how do you run this in your game, and then what would our characters know about the way that this works in this world,
Right.
having that the knowledge of the preamble of doing that, because and Wish especially, like Jen and I have had some experience with the bad version of Wish. And like when I'm people were asking about DM advice, and I know we're running up against time here, but I'll say I'll use this as an example of my DM advice. I've had a couple of campaigns get to the point where people have had access to Wish, and so it turns into one of those where as soon as that becomes a thing, I just sit down and I go, "This is how it works." And for me, the way I like Wish to work is if you, because I don't want to go through the whole contract and making sure that you're going to say all the right things in just the right
Mhm.
way, and like because I don't want to do that because I find that tedious and boring. So I'm like, you tell me what you want. You tell me what the wish is,
Yeah.
and you'll get that. And it might happen in the most hilarious way possible. It, something funny might happen. It's not going to go wrong. It's not going to be bad. There's not going to be a monkey's paw here. But like if you wish for something, I'm going to give you exactly what you want, but there might be just something ridiculous that happens with it because you're messing with the fabric of the universe. But it won't be bad. But it'll be a chance for me to have a little bit of fun with it at the same time. Because if you're going to mess with the fabric of the universe, I should get to mess with it too. But yeah, it's a hard thing when you got that kind of ingrained, oh, this is the way that the D&D has been, this is the
Yeah.
way that these kind of things have happened. So yeah, it gets
My world and my approach as DM are very similar in the sense it's like when I talk about how belief makes things real, it's about like what you want is what you should get
Hmm.
generally. Now I'm definitely there to cause some wrinkles, to give some sort of interesting sort of takes on things, but I'm not there to tell a story, not my story necessarily. We're to create a story together. So if I take your wish and I twist it in such a way as that's not something you really want, I've basically taken the things you've told. It is so hard. Sorry. It is so hard sometimes to get players to tell you what they want.
Hmm.
It is so hard. So to take an opportunity like Wish, where they will absolutely tell you exactly what they want and then go, but I'm not going to give it to you, is the wildest choice. It's the
Hmm.
wildest thing. I don't understand that approach. It's yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's all I got to say. That it's not bad or good. It's just a wild choice to make.
There's
Um,
and there's that middle ground of the give your players what you want, but there can be
right.
unexpected consequences. There can be additional. I'm not even talking the wish thing. I'm just talking.
Yeah.
There's the joke about hand your DM knives to stab you with later, but those are consensual knives. Those are like I'm gonna give you a thing that I know is gonna be a problem later.
You were
Here you
talking about,
go.
yeah, you were talking about, and I had a second point. I think it's probably the last point we can get to before we have to close out.
Yeah,
Um, it's that you were talking about how you sat down with your players and was like, okay, here's how this is going to work. Remember the first time you guys encountered the Fae during the break, I think, to that
we
episode.
did. We had a big talk about it
I was like,
because
this is what you can expect from these and behave. Because I saw that you guys were, your wheels were spinning. You were
yeah,
definitely like, I don't want to screw up in a way that I don't want to screw this up. And I was like, listen, let's just settle. It's gonna be fine. They're not malicious. They're not actively seeking to harm you. Definitely treat your requests and conversation with them with a certain amount of care. That's reasonable. They're fey creatures. They're ultimately these very powerful creatures, but relax a little bit
yeah.
because it's not going to be, they're not seeking to hurt you.
Caution, not paranoia.
Yeah. Caution, not is exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Because I remember having that conversation specifically. I don't remember if it was in the break or if it was after, but it definitely, we had at least about like 10 to 15 minutes of let's talk about the Fae real quick and how you
Yeah,
guys should interact, or not should, but how they're going to interact with you is
yeah.
a better way to put it.
What the actual what this world considers, and especially
Yeah.
once we heard Oberon and once we
Yeah.
were hearing names, it was also like, okay, how much of this is the Shakespearean, and like
Right.
we definitely sat down well before we actually interacted that first time with the King Below. We had that talk for sure. So yeah, that helps. That helps a lot. And you know what? It's tell your players that kind of stuff. It never spoils. It never spoils.
So
It
they
only helps.
It doesn't because then suddenly I'm just coming up with stuff on the fly. After that, I'm going, my brain went back to those moments. I'm like, the idea that the queen above had no name or that her name was hidden was entirely an improvisation on the point of like, you guys asked for the name of the captain that fuck, I can't remember his name. The guy that you guys had with you and his girlfriend that ended up going through the portal and ended up like spending a whole year with the fake captain.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
asked what her name was, and I didn't have one.
Mm-hmm. But it
So
totally
I,
makes sense.
I was just like, yeah, let's do that.
And
Yes,
that
Charles, that's the guy.
Yeah, and that makes sense for the kind of fae you're talking about, of the kind of alien weirdness of like,
Right.
oh, they don't have a name, or I don't remember the name, and we just kind of call them this. Like, is it malicious? No. Does it hurt anybody? No. It's just weird. It's just weird.
It
And
is alien. Yeah.
yeah, and there's like there can be a like the veneer of, oh, I'm not supposed to know this because in the Fae names have power. So, like there can be that little bit of, oh, this is maybe dangerous. But like the idea of it being a malicious or
Yeah.
taking that away, I think that helps a lot. So,
And it was Elsbeth Thedra as well. It was Elsbeth and Charles. Like, oh, I'm glad you guys can remember names because I absolutely can't. I remember it's the weirdest thing that I can remember all of the individual details of like a narrative that happened. literally
Names are
6 to 8
hard.
months ago. But then in the names and dates, I'm just lost. Numbers, what I call them is contextless information. They don't, they could be changed out in a narrative. Like the names and numbers can be changed out, and it doesn't change anything about the story. I remember the story.
Yeah,
So the stuff that surrounds it, I don't remember. But yeah, anyway,
names are
it's
hard.
always annoying. It's always annoying to me. Um, yeah, no, it's I remember that moment and then how that developed from there. This is the funny part because I can remember how that conversation developed later in the episode. Once the captain with no name was name dropped in that way, it was uh Katie came in and was like, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if it was a horse?" Or it might have been Chat actually. I think Chat said it first, and then it filtered into the game
Been
through Katie.
through the ocean with a horse with
Um,
no name.
and I was like, "Oh my God." So then immediately it was like, "Well, the first time they meet this captain, it's definitely going to be a centaur."
Yeah.
Um, and then we just rolled from there. And yeah, this is like that's the fun of just trying to improv things that fit into the what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is just make sure it fits with what you're doing. We are over, and I don't want to keep you too much longer. Um,
Now's a good
do
time to
we have?
stop.
I was gonna say, unless anyone has a very pressing question in chat, I think we're done. When it doesn't look like it. So, thank you very much, to both, chat, everybody who's here to watch. Again, sorry about not having code. And, thank you, Lauren, for running the stream for me here
Always happy to help.
and sitting down and having conversation. I'm gonna do my credits real quick. Cartography by Shane Peku, cartography by Shane Peku Sci-Fi, maps by Luke Stratton, maps by Eightfold Paper, music by Tabletop Audio, character tokens by Greek46, custom tokens by Shane Peku Tokens, overlay art by Pack Stream, custom world map by Freckle Sketches, logo and character art by Luke McCay. And for me, I have a game on Start Playing with an open slot for Wednesdays. Um, come on in, play. It'll be fun. And I did. Some of you guys, I don't know. I think most of the viewers come from the D&D world. But any of you that came from the SCP Wiki, for me specifically, I did write a very, very short story and posted it to the wiki this week called No Parole or Without Parole. That's what it's called. It's only 218 words, so very, very short. If you want to go and check that out. I'm gonna drop a link to that in chat whilst Lauren does her outro.
Sure. Best way to keep up to date, especially this week with what I'm doing, is follow me on the Blue Skies, the Blue Skis. It's lauren-urban.com, which is also my website, which is also a good place to keep up to date with what I'm doing. Hopefully next week I'll have all my streams, not just this one. Hopefully I'll have power and everything. And you could see me playing a fey creature who is more of the trickster E, not quite as bad as what some Fae can be. And I'll have Orkira plays on Sundays. And otherwise, during the week, I just put out stuff about TTRPGs and oboe stuff and random other fun things that come into my head. And that's about it.
And I don't have an outro yet, so try not to die, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Peace.